Hello, everyone. I am not sure if you can hear me. I'm going to try to turn this up a little bit. There's a yes on you can hear me. Great. How is everyone's day going? I am going to promote our guest so that we can see her. Hi. Wait, I'm going to unmute you. I'm sorry. Yes. I don't think I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
Great, but you might have to speak a little louder because I don't think I can hear.
Very clearly. Let me turn up the.
Yes.
Yes? Okay. I'll still speak more loudly just to be safe.
Yes, and I'm actually going to turn up my volume because I don't think I turned it up that loudly either. Everyone, it's Wednesday, and I'm going to tell the story of the stress that happened how many hours ago? Probably about 3 hours ago. So I got a text from Crystal Marie, who I'll formally introduce soon. And she's like, it says the webinar is over. Someone's trying to register. I just pulled into a parking lot and I'm like, I don't know, let them try again. Because, I'm just thinking something's wrong. Well, somehow the webinar was set for 8 p.m. Sofia time. I don't even know where Sofia is. I'm going to guess like Italy or somewhere like that. And my profile settings are set to the correct time period. So I don't understand how that happened. So in all this, I'm freaking out. I'm in a Walmart parking lot, calling Zoom to try to get everything rectified. Finally got everyone's information because the thing is, I can't see this webinar as a previous webinar because it never started. So that means I could not extract all the registration information in order to contact everyone to tell them, oh my God, I screwed up. So everything got settled. There's still the oh my God, I screwed up because we had about 70 registrants. And, we will probably have to do a take 2 of this. We're going to do this for all of you who saw my email, and I'm so happy. I heard someone say I can barely hear Crystal.
That was Heather.
Yeah. That was Heather. I can hear her well now. Heather, can you let me know if you can hear her well once she starts speaking and I stop babbling? So it is Wednesday. It is supposed to be somewhat summery weather. It is still feeling like winter doesn't want to go away. I mean, I think, Game of Thrones is over. Winter is over. We can move on. I feel that way. Since our last webinar, I should probably start by introducing myself, but it's okay. I'll do that later. Since our last webinar, we have done so much here at Canadian Small Business Women. We have had our Niagara Small Business Seminar, which was amazing. If you didn't check it out, you should probably go on Instagram and check out our photos and our stories. And immediately after that, the day after, I kid you not, and I was exhausted. I did also lose my ATM card in this process. I had a photo shoot. We did release some behind the scenes photos on Instagram and some photos that were taken on my cell phone by a friend of mine who came to help me. He was so wonderful. Like, he took out all my clothes and hung them up, and he started just taking photos of everything. It's amazing. Everyone needs good friends like those. And I will get those photos, the official photos soon, and I'll be sharing them throughout the year. It was like it's my second official Canadian Small Business Women photo shoot. And we also launched our new newsletter format. So you will notice it started last week, but in the month of June, every email communication that we are sending will be sent in its own unique format. So webinars will have its own template, webinars. Our events calendar, we're still working out the tweaks with that, because we want our calendar to look like an actual calendar, and I want you to click on the days to open up to see what the actual events are for that month. So we'll be sending that out monthly. And then we have inside conversations with me. So The first one went out last week, and so far we've been getting really good reviews on it. So it's just a different format because I know that if you join me on these webinars, you kind of know my personality because I am just this. I don't know how to be anything else. But I also I don't open up that much. It might seem like I'm open only because my personality is just big and that's it. But personally, I don't open that much. So the first edition of that newsletter, it was a Q&A, and I answered quite a bit of questions about myself, and it was a great way to reintroduce you or to introduce you to me, everything that's Dwaynia. And going forward, it will be some Q&A or some opinions. You know, I will express myself in a non-verbal way. I prefer to speak as opposed to write. So it will be an interesting transition with that one. I'm very excited to see how it develops throughout the year. I am taking feedback. I am taking suggestions. Any questions that you might want me to answer, please email them because I'm excited about this because I really want it to be an actual conversation. So yeah, that's some of the stuff we have coming up. Oh, other big news. Oh my gosh. We also updated the resource section of our website. And when I say update, I mean it hasn't been refreshed in about 5 years. And we now have links for everyone across Canada. If you're looking for links for green tech, clean tech, med tech, any kind of innovation, we have resources. We can describe what those things are for you. We also have other resource links for finances, for market research, you name it, it's now on the site. I will start sending out some more information about that soon, but I am very excited about how the information looks and how much information is there. All that happened in the past 2 weeks, okay? Just so everyone knows, 2 weeks. And I do have a full-time job, I just want to point that out.
Yes, I know. Amazing.
So that's enough about what we did. And, you know, I don't think I really need to introduce myself, but again, I'm Dwaynia. There's a picture of me right there. Oh, that was last year's top 40 under 40 for Brampton Board of Trade. I thought that was pretty cute. And those there that you probably can't see are all my little green stuff that you get from the government of Canada when they really like you. And then over here is something that I'm super proud of. There are 2 vision boards. And if anyone knows anything about me, knows that I don't usually like sitting down and writing out the things that I want to do. It's not my style. I went to probably about 5 vision board sessions before I completed one because I was busy getting photos for everyone else instead of putting together my vision. So I am very proud of those. Thank you, Sandra Dawes, for making me do this. So yes, I am going to stop speaking now because I'm sure you all are not on here to hear me. You are here to hear the lovely Crystal Marie. She is going to really help us. I am ready to write, like, pen, book, because pricing for your lifestyle. I know as women, we always have a problem when it comes to the ask of how much. There's always that change in our voice when we have to say how much something costs. And it always sounds like it's a little bit of an excuse, like, yeah, it's this much, but, and trying to argue why it costs what it costs. But you need to learn to value your time, and you need to have people understand how much your time is worth. I'm ready for it. Everyone be ready for it. If you have questions throughout, you can pop them in the chat or you can pop them in the Q&A. I will try to monitor those as best as I can. And Crystal Marie, you're going to see exactly what I see, with the exception of I'll be driving her PowerPoint because you don't need to see me as she speaks. I mean, I know it's pretty, isn't it? But I mean, come on. You can get to see Crystal's pretty face, and you can get to also see the PowerPoint presentation that she prepared for us because it's going to be chock full of knowledge. FYI, if you've been on a webinar, you know that I don't usually look through the PowerPoints before we start. So I'm going to learn with you. That's what I like to do. So Crystal, enough of me, it's all you. So you can introduce yourself to the folks if you have any questions for them. Vital topic, thanks for setting the stage, Dwayne. Looking forward to get tons of notes. Yes, Yulia. Hi, Yulia. Is this the
Hi.
Yulia? Yes,
Yes.
I know a few Yulias.
Yeah. I know this one.
You know this one? So that means this. Are you Yulia that I met at my sister's event years ago?
She says yes, that's me.
Yes. All right. Yulia, I met another Yulia last week. Okay, I am super hyper. I'm gonna just shut up and drink my little village juicery because I'm on a juicing thing. Sorry, guys.
Oh, no, that's okay. I think that's probably why you're hyper. Plus, you just got home from work and you just ran through a lot of adrenaline events. So
Yeah.
hats off to you. Well done. And for coming here and being all smooth about this.
I have to be honest and tell the people what happened so they can
Yes,
understand being an entrepreneur is not easy.
exactly. But I think there's something to rolling with it. And I really appreciate that you did that. I think that's where success really starts. So
Thank
thank
you.
you. Yes.
Oh, see.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, this is also really inspiring because you don't always get a community of people or women or anybody that can be open and honest and respect that. A lot of people are still stuck in perfectionism, and I'll tell a little bit about that with my own story. So, yeah.
All right. I am going to start driving this presentation. One second. Let me start the slideshow.
Okay.
There we go. Look
So,
at
thank you. So that picture there, it took a lot for me to start putting my face out there. So good for you on preferring to speak rather than write.
we are the
So,
same. It took 4 years for me to do it. So you can do it.
yes. So welcome everyone. Like Dwayne said, my name is Crystal Marie. And I'm just going to drive straight to the next slide where I'll tell you a little bit about who I am so you get a sense of who's speaking to you. I like to get a sense of where people are coming from before I start listening to them because I don't, and this is odd, I don't believe in role models. I believe you get little tidbits of information that resonate with you from multiple different sources.
I feel like we're the
So,
same people. Go ahead.
yes, yeah. So I really hope that what you can do throughout this webinar is really take what works for you and leave what doesn't. That's the premise of everything that I'm going to say. So even if I sound really passionate about something, I still want you to hold true to your values. I feel like I have to say that just because in the media and a lot of the spaces that we go to, there's a lot of rah, 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 I'm a guru, you have to do what I say. Um, I'm really big on individual sovereignty and the wisdom that we carry within, because I think that is important for us to give out into the world. And if we keep dampening that by listening to everybody else's advice, what we have to offer never really comes out. So I hope that that's a little clear in what I'm saying here. So what you see here is basically what I'm about and what my business is about. So mindful business, I know mindful is a buzzword. I promise I'm not using it that way. I speak about mindfulness because I've had two blackouts and a period of 5 minute paralysis. And that might sound like, oh, just 5 minutes of being paralyzed. But when you're 29, you live alone and this happens in the middle of the night. 5 minutes is a really long time because then you start thinking about, oh, am I getting a stroke? Am I going to die at 29? Are they going to find my body 3 months later? Um, because this is me moving to a new country, maybe 6 years before that, and just working 24/7 all the time. And I had everything that you're probably going to speak about: the anxiety, the depression, the perfectionism, the having to finish anything before I get up to use the bathroom, before I would brush my teeth, before I would drink water. I think self-care might be a buzzword for a lot of people, but not for me. I literally had to turn things around. And I didn't have time to form new habits before I made those changes because who knows where that would have gone. So for me, when I say mindfulness, that's what I'm referring to, inviting yourself into your business. So today we're going to look at pricing, but for me, pricing, process, and schedule have to start intrinsically for your business to work for you and to be sustainable in the long term. And once you get clear on that, I feel then you're grounded, you're centered, you're clear on why you're doing this, you trust yourself. And so then we step into social media, which will be the first taste of going back into the external world after you've done the work on these other pieces. Because then when people come to you, you're comfortable saying no, thank you, and yes to those that really resonate. So that's my 2 cents about me. In terms of all the things that you're going to see on paper, I moved to Canada when I was 23 for a job. And I had an environmental degree before, and then I did my MBA, so Master's in Business. But you'll find that what I'm going to talk about here around pricing is not going to be the technical business side of things. It's going to be all the other things that nobody likes to talk about, because you can find all the different pricing models out there. But here, I just want to bring it back to you and who you are. So what we're going to go through, hopefully within the time that we have, is just a big picture. This will be my big picture of the world that we live in and how our individual parts of pricing properly actually affects the big picture, and why it's so important for us to take a stand and set reasonable prices for ourselves, so that we start really leading by example, so that the rest of the world can see that there's another way to do things. In terms of lifestyle and business costs, we're going to dive into some of the numbers that make us cringe, that we don't really like to look at. And I hope that I invite you into a space to breathe comfortably around what you really want. Time costs, that will really look at your rhythms and your own needs in terms of time, not the 24/7 hustle. I'm not going to push that. Value-based pricing. Some of you may have heard of it. Some of you may think it's flaky, but I'm just going to run through what I mean by that so that you get a sense of whether or not it can work for you. And then your worth. What's your true value? Like, we take you down to what you need to think of to calculate the number that you're going to work with to create your packages for your clients. So here we go. Next slide. Okay, so I just wanted to put these pictures up there so that you kind of get a sense. I find that flowers tend to bring the feminine into the conversation. And if you don't know anything about feminine or feminine energy, it's not necessarily about being a woman, but it is about being able to sit back, relax, receive, trust your intuition, and then just create space to contain. And containment is a part of the picture that nobody talks about. People talk about making a lot of money, and people talk about generously giving back, but nobody talks about the need to contain. And that's where the feminine allows us to do that. And I wanted to put in there scarcity and abundance. This is a mindset thing, because what I'm going to talk about is how this shapes the world that we see today, the world's economy. So next slide. All right. So for those of you who don't really have a business background, the macrocosm, and this is also ecology. Sorry, my two backgrounds tend to come into everything that I do. Macrocosm is the big picture, like the large-scale economy or ecosystem. And the microcosm is just on the smaller scale. So when I talk about macrocosm here, I'm talking about the world. And when I speak about microcosm, I'm speaking about like on a business-to-business level, right? So you'll see examples of that. You see here, what I'm trying to show, if I didn't articulate it well on this slide, is basically the downward spiral that we're heading to if we continue to do I'm afraid to set high prices, I'm just going to keep discounting for my friends and then hope that, you know, a VC or the government or somebody else will fund all of my needs. And if you want to take a step back from that and look at the even bigger picture, look at how people regard jobs. They demand that the world provides jobs for them. People haven't. And it's the system that we're raised in, right? Nobody tells us that we're responsible for the lives that we want to create here on earth. We have been told that you go out there, you get a job, and the government's job is to give you a job. And we never really think beyond that. But if you think about it, we have so much power if we step into our individual sovereignty to go out there and create what we want for ourselves. And so if you continue to go through the path of, okay, the world has needs, the government has to fund those needs, the government has finite resources, people have more children, the world needs more things, you see it never really ends. This is not a cycle. This is not somewhere that, okay, somewhere it picks up again. It doesn't. This is just my perspective again. But this is what you see in the media, in the news. Even when they talk about entrepreneurship, you will notice that nobody really talks about the person who made their business without getting funded from somewhere else, right? They always talk about the VC-backed organizations, the startups. They look at Twitter and LinkedIn, but if you look at the trail of businesses that are left behind with that, most of these people don't have profitable models. And there's a freemium culture that we're building where everybody expects everything for free. And so you start noticing that a lot of businesses continue to go out of business trying to follow that pattern. You don't have to follow what everybody else in the world is doing. If you take a step back and breathe, you'll find what really works for you. So next slide. some of the examples in a microcosm. I don't know how many people were paying attention to what happened in 2008. That's when I started my MBA. I graduated in 2010, and there were still no jobs because of that recession, which just made me stop my business faster. But most of you might have heard about the Fannie Mae Foundation and all these other organizations that were too big to fail. So what happens, they were not fiscally, financially responsible. And if we did what they did, we would be out of business. We would probably be filing for bankruptcy, and we would probably be in prison for some of the actions they took. But because these companies were too big to fail, somebody stepped in and paid their way to make sure that that didn't happen. But those resources could have been going to something else. But this is just what happens when we aren't fiscally responsible, right? In terms of microcosm, most people know about GM and all their labor union issues, but what they don't know is how many businesses go out of business because GM is forcing their suppliers to keep their prices low. At least as entrepreneurs, we have the option to not be under the thumb of somebody like GM. We're not forced to keep our prices low. We have a choice. And this is what brings me to you. Are you sustainable? There's nothing wrong with taking funding. There is nothing wrong if your business model is eventually going to be profitable and it's going to let you take the handcuffs off later on. It's fine to borrow money to start. Sometimes it takes 5, 10, 15 years to get where you're going, but know where you're going. So are you sustainable? Can you actually be financially healthier? And if there's a way, why not take the time to figure out what that looks like for you specifically? There may not be a model out there that works for you right now. So why not take the time to build it? Okay, next. All right, so here's another possible perspective. This is where I think we as entrepreneurs, and specifically as women, sorry if there are any men out on there that are hearing this, but there's nothing that's saying that men can't take this perspective, but I found that as women, we tend to do this more. We take care of others with the overflow of self-care. And so a macrocosm of abundance looks like this. The world has needs. The world understands that it is empowered within itself, individuals in the world, to meet its own needs. Where there's a shortfall, because we don't live in a perfect world, the government actually has the resources to support us because they're not putting all of those resources into what we call black holes, investments that will not be giving any return, right? And then the world is free to dream because there is a sense of abundance. There's okay, we're not running out of things. Everything is okay. Let's just take the time we need to figure out where we really want to go and then go in that direction. And doesn't it just feel better to hear that, to feel that? Instead of this, oh my gosh, we're running out. Maybe we're not. Maybe we could just take a step back and try something different. So, okay, next slide. Just in case you don't believe that this is possible, love or hate Starbucks, they do what they want at the prices that they want, and they always have a very long line, right? Starbucks doesn't sit there with imposter syndrome and perfectionism and say, well, you know, I've only been doing this for so long and X has been doing this for however many years, or I haven't paid my dues yet, or all the other excuses we could come up with, right? I don't believe in fake it to make it. I believe you have to believe it for it to work. So I think what is important is to take the time to step back and go into yourself and see why you don't believe that yet, right? Warren Buffett might be an old man, maybe somebody you can't quite relate to, but listen to what he's saying. Some of what he says is actually, it will probably resonate with you if you stop seeing him as Warren Buffett and just read it as, you know, this note you found on the ground that made sense to you, right? Like if we stop idolizing people, I find then we could take what really works and leave what doesn't. Tim Williams is somebody I discovered when I was trying to find community that would share my perspective on pricing. He is with a consulting organization called ICG, so you could look him up as well. Whole Foods. I did a video the other day on why we shouldn't hate the CEO who makes $1.5 million in bonuses only, right? It really requires that you shift your mindset around money. And what sparked that was that there were these people who were so mad that Whole Foods was selling asparagus water for $12. And I'm thinking to myself, you should not be putting your energy into being so angry at Whole Foods. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. If somebody else wants to buy it, it is their free will. They're allowed to buy it. They value it as that. Maybe they can't get asparagus easily or whatever their reason is. And if you are neither here nor there, then let it be. Then you're not putting energy into that. Your energy is still reserved for what matters to you, right? What's important to you. And Seth Godin, he said, if they don't want you on their stage, go make your own. And that really stuck with me. I'm not a fan of everything that he puts out, but like I said, I don't have role models. I have ideas, little tidbits from people that really resonate with me or don't. I think you should put your name there. That's why I left that little spot there. What is it that you want to do, that you want to say, I don't care what other people think. This is what I really want to do. I'm only on this planet for this time, in this space and time for a limited time. And this is what I want to do with it. I know you hear that all the time, but the very same people who tell you that shoot you down. I am not, yes, I know. I know a lot of people probably have that response. I am not here to shoot you down. No matter how weird or quirky or whatever your ideas are, I'm on board. So what is it that you want to do that's different? And this is why I'm setting the stage for your business and lifestyle costs, because I don't want you to think about living like a student. I put a pink hut there with a pink surfboard because nobody ever sees that, right? Somebody had to put money into doing that, and to have that money, they had to say, okay, this is just what I want. However frivolous your lifestyle is to other people, it doesn't matter. Because what happens is once you get to a place where you contain enough money or enough energy or enough love or enough whatever it is that you're filling up on with self-care, the overflow of that could only ever possibly be love. There will be no fear. You wouldn't be thinking about how to build your business around competition. You wouldn't be comparing yourself to anybody else. When you take the time to fill yourself up, what goes out into the rest of the world, to your clients and to anybody else, is just love. There's a courage that comes that you can't really even put into words. Your imposter syndrome doesn't show up. Your any perfectionism, you kind of could laugh at yourself. You could let it go. What is it that you want for yourself? Maybe you want to eat at those restaurants that put 3 beans and a slice of meat on your plate, right? Maybe you want to eat there 3 times a week. It's not for everybody, but if that's what you want, go for it.
I'm right? Jamaican. I'm not going to eat it. I need my food.
I know most people won't. I do love my food.
I mean, okay, we can go there and dine, but after that, we're going to a Jamaican restaurant.
A real food place, exactly. Because there's something to the experience. That's true. Yeah, that's true. The ambiance, you get to relax and then you go enjoy your
Instagrammable moments.
Exactly. Right. So I mean, feel free to dream. Like, I don't want you to look at what are my lifestyle costs in terms of just, oh, what do I need to eat this week and what do I need to live each year? Okay, do that. That will be your baseline. You cannot make less than that. But beyond that, what are your lifestyle costs? What will it cost for you to get and maintain the car that you want? What does it look like to have a professional business that you are able to hold your head high and walk around in the next 20 years? So if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and you're trying to sell your business, what does it feel like? What does that business look like? And what does it really cost to have that business? The right technology, the right setting, everything, right? So next slide. These are the things that most of us should think about when we have a business. Maintenance always goes unnoted. Most people here probably have not thought about what it costs to save now to replace that computer in a few years. How many times they have to change their hard drives every, however many years. We don't know how quickly our phones are going to die, how many times we have to resubscribe to something. Because I think now Office 365 has a subscription model. You have to build buffers in for when organizations like that, the monopoly organizations, change their pricing. And eventually they may get to a place where they could raise it 50, 60%. Are you prepared to cover that cost, right? And that's just in maintenance. And maintenance is the one thing that most of us ignore. Do you have cash reserves? Businesses do this, and nobody talks about it, right? Entrepreneurship has peaks and it has valleys. And for some people that ends early on, but for a lot of people that continues throughout the lifetime of their business. It could be seasonal, it could be changes in the economy, it could be any number of things. But are you prepared with cash reserves to protect yourself there? And you don't have to have it today, but you have to think about these things in order to plan for them and build them up over time, right? It's just a matter of saving a percentage of whatever you bring in to make that happen. And marketing is important as much as we like to just, send something on social media once in a while. Remember, once you send it on social media once, nobody sees it again. It gets annoying. You're like, oh, I shared this 7 times this week, but 3 people saw it. It's okay. I am saying this guilty of the same. I am not judging. I am just saying, right? And social media is one of the services I offer. So I do know. Just put it out there, right? So these are the costs that we quote unquote know. On the next slide, thanks, Raina, you'll see the things that we don't like to talk about. If you dare say the word luxury, yeah, how many people are cringing? I dare you to go and tell one of your clients, yeah, I'm raising my prices so that I could afford these luxury memberships. It depends on your clients, right? If you already have the clients that respect you, they will say, yeah, that's a good idea. Thanks for letting me know. But a lot of us are in business and we're discounting and we're helping a friend and my brother needs a website and, all these other things that are sucking your time and your energy. You haven't gotten yourself to a place where you're serving clients that are filling your bucket so that you can overflow out of your own self-care to actually then take care of your friend and your clients and your brother and whoever else. Fill up on yourself first, because what happens is you're not really able to be present with your clients if you're worried about bills, if you're worried about how you're going to eat next week, if you're worried about sending your child to that school you want to send them to. All right? You want to make sure that you have no distractions other than taking care of the client in front of you. And a big part of that is having a lifestyle that you want, not the one you need. I'm just inviting you to think about that. Trade show materials. You don't have to get the cheapest paper and the easiest pen from the dollar store all the time, right? It's okay to spend more and to have the comforts. You don't have to have only 4 bedrooms because 7 bedrooms is a luxury. You never know. Maybe there's a flood in your neighborhood and those 7 bedrooms will come in handy later on, right? It's okay to have more. I just wanted to invite you to think about that. What is it that you really want? And what does it really cost? And for those of you who have some background in business, there's something called the time value of money. For most of us, we know it as inflation. What is that going to really cost in 5 years? If you just keep adding inflation and compounding that interest, plan for that. Not the value of that money today, the value of that money in 5 or 10 years. Bank for that. Okay, next slide. Your time costs. How much time do you have? It is not 24/7. I'm just saying. So next slide. Most people think of time as hours in a day. The reason I look at time on an individual basis is because most people are individuals. We like to think that we are all the same and, basically all introverts, all extroverts. No, that really is not how it works. I have broken it down into 4 areas here, but there's so many other areas that you could go into. I just don't want you to get overwhelmed. So let's look at these 4. In terms of introverts, I'm an introvert, but most people assume if you speak a lot that you must be extroverted. Introversion, extroversion is about where you get your energy and what causes you to lose energy. It's not about how vibrant or not you are, right? How much alone time do you need in order to be able to be at your best with your client? How much human contact do you need if you're an extrovert? And if you're an ambivert, be honest about when you need what, right? In terms of productivity, are you a morning person? Are you a night owl? Does it fluctuate? How many people are walking around ashamed of saying they're a night owl because they think clients won't hire them? I found, and this is just my experience, but you'll never know unless you try. When you really step into who you are, and thanks for doing that, Dwayne, that was very encouraging. When you just own who you are, the wrong people get repelled. And that is important because they leave room for the right people to show up. You'll be surprised how many night owls would come out of the woodwork and say, wow, I didn't want to start working with somebody because then our hours will never line up. and here I found you. And then, you know, all of a sudden there's a whole flow and ease of things and you don't even know where that came from. It just came from one honest moment, right? This is why I say it's so important to build your business with you first. Don't go and check with everybody else and make sure, and you know, everybody says pilot test. In corporations, they do the 360 evaluation. Check with you first. Trust your voice first. Build what works for you first, and then attract that, because that is what you can sustain. You can only continue to be you. Anything else burns you out over time. And then what is your work style? Are you productive alone? Are you productive when you're collaborating? It depends. Some people need accountability. Some people cannot stand it. Be honest with yourself about that, right? There are a lot of fads that come and go, and people say you have to do this, you have to be a morning person, you have to, and then you waste all this energy trying to be something you're not, and you're losing revenue, you're losing time, you're losing a whole lot of stuff just because of that. Just my 2 cents, give it some thought. And what is your focus like? It's okay. Some of us are frogs and some of us are wolves. What works for you? If you have a 3-second attention span, be true to that. If you can work for 8 hours, fine. Make sure you take your bathroom break, but be honest with yourself about what your focus is like. And I want to say here too, it's not about who you want to be eventually. Start with who you are right now. Not what you want to fix and improve on and whatever. That's all, that's nice. But that also takes the energy away from you building the business that you want right now. If you take a step back and love yourself as you are, accept yourself as you are, and you build a business around that, it will work. Even when you improve what you think you need to change. Okay, next slide. The other time costs that we never think about are the actual hours in a day. You need time to work in your business. And this is what everybody focuses on. Nobody really thinks about the other things that I have there. You have to work with your clients, right? So these are the phone calls, these are the meetings, these are the interactions, the actual contact points. You also have to do work for your clients sometimes. Some of the services or products that we offer means that we have to do research, we have to do work behind the scenes. You need project time. Sometimes you need undisturbed time, which means they cannot be calling you during those hours. But you need to make that clear to them. Your business hours and your contact hours are not the same thing, right? That has to be important. Working on your business. I know the in and on your business are things that you hear about all the time, but I want to invite you into a space where you just really think about it, honestly, right? When are you doing business development? When you first start your business, or if you change pricing, or if you rebrand, any little change to your business could sometimes shift things, and then you don't have the clientele that you might have had before you made that change. So what they always say is you have to keep something in your pipeline, right? At any given time, people say you're always working with about 30 to 70% of the amount of clients that you can serve. And if you're honest with that, you want to take that into consideration with your pricing. Your me time, right? That's time to do nothing as well. And that includes time not meditating. That's still doing something. It's time to just do nothing, because that's when ideas come. And time for self-care. This is where you get to contain, and this is where your creativity is born in finding solutions for your clients. And then personal time. I think most of us are aware of that because our families get demanding when we disappear. But the me time is something that tends to disappear.
Especially as an entrepreneur, I think we feel like we don't deserve me time.
Yes.
But I can attest to that.
Yes.
I used to say, oh, my me time is when I go get my nails done. And that's truly not me time. That's like 30 minutes every few weeks, right?
Exactly.
But as of 2019, I have shut down on Sundays. Sundays is just whatever I feel like doing. And it's not work.
That's good. Exactly. And if you don't take that me time, then you never feel like doing work. Like the brain operates on reward.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the first month, I'm not going to lie, I felt like I was being lazy. And I said it out loud. I'm like, if this is what regular life is like, I'm lazy. And then I realized, no, it's not lazy. It's resetting. It's relaxing.
Exactly.
So we need to schedule that time and stick to it.
Yeah. We've really been trained to feel guilty about downtime.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to undo that training. And we are the only people who could do it for ourselves. You could get a coach, you could do whatever else, but you still have to go home and work with that on your own. So that's important. Thanks for sharing that. That really helps too. So the value-based pricing. What is worth what you're supposed to be charging to your client? Now, this is where I think a lot of people get stuck because everybody thinks, oh, I'm going to raise my prices. And then when they start raising their prices, they think I have to answer that question. Why are you charging this? And then they're like, oh, because you don't want to tell them it's because you want that lifestyle. And you don't want to tell them it's because, that's what life actually costs. So let's shift the conversation. I personally recommend that you never explain to people why your pricing is what it is. I think that's taking you down a rabbit hole that you can't really climb back out of after. But if you have to.
Corporations don't, so why should we?
Exactly. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
And footballers.
You really go to McDonald's and say, why is that hamburger that I might not like?
Exactly.
I don't even know how much it costs.
Yes. And that is another good point. The getting paid up front.
Yeah.
There is no way you are walking out of that restaurant with a burger you didn't pay for. I'm just putting it out there. So what is it worth, right? What is that worth to those clients? Like a lot of us go by education, experience, and expertise. You are worth more than that. There's something that you bring to the table that everybody else is incapable of bringing to that table. You might have a unique approach. It could be your unique personality. It could be a model that you developed, whether it's formal or not, for interacting with your clients. What else is there that you're putting into your value-based pricing? What is it that your clients are paying for? Okay, next. All right. Are you helping them to earn more? Are you helping them to work less? Are you helping them to get peace of mind? Those are just 3 of the millions of different things that people are willing to pay for. Okay. And it's important for me to say this conversation is not the conversation you're going to be having with somebody who's asking you for a discount or who's asking for something free. Okay. You have to be honest with yourself about that. I recommend that you just, the discount conversation, just say, I really respect that this is your budget and you have to honor that. But this is where I am in my business cycle and I'm not able to serve a discounted market just yet. Okay. It's not a comfortable conversation to have just yet, but you'll get used to it if you're able to say that over time.
You make it sound so good.
Yes.
The way how you say it.
But it's true. And I think mindfulness really helped me to frame it that way because I used to get really angry. One woman asked me if I could do her social media for $25 a month. And I got really mad, but I walked away. Sorry, Patrick. Expression. I know. Oh, yes, Patrick Gay. Sorry, yes. What to say reprices. Just say, I respect that this is your budget at this time, but I am not at a phase in my business cycle where I'm able to serve a discounted market. Right? It's one way to say it. I mean, you could reword it in a way that sounds more like you, right. But I feel I have a talk that I call the disruption of authenticity, where I say, yes, there will be a replay. Melissa.
Yes, there will be. There will be a replay, Melissa. We will send everyone who registered the link.
Yes. And so
Pizza Gay will we can have it in the replay. You'll be able to fast forward to the section and you can reframe it.
Yeah.
It works for you.
Yeah. So yes, that's true. So basically, I lost where I was going. The discounting conversation. Anyway, it will come back if I need to bring it back. But basically, when you're setting your pricing, make sure that you understand that this is not the conversation you're having with people who are discounting. This is people who are coming to you because they already need value and are willing to pay what you're asking or more for the services you're offering, right? So they're coming to you and all they're asking now is, are you going to help me earn more, work less, or get peace of mind? What are you really going to help me with? Okay. And I want to point out too that it's important to note, you could change this slide, thank you, that you are not responsible for what your clients do with what you give them. And this makes a lot of us very uncomfortable as well. You can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. That is true of everything. All people have free will. If they choose not to implement what you offer, that is not your responsibility, but it is your responsibility to deliver your service as well as you can. And that's where your responsibility ends. So your worth, what's your value here? This is where I'm just talking about what is your number, right? I want to recommend that if you do have an hourly rate, you don't share that. Try as far as possible to create packages that spread over a month or at least a week. So you don't have somebody counting your minutes 24/7, asking you, what are you doing now? What are you doing now? What are you doing now? You will never get peace of mind that way. Again, this is just my perspective. There's some industries that pressure people into doing the hourly rate. If you feel that you have to be there now, honor that. But as soon as you can get out of it, I would like to invite you to do so. So, okay, next slide. All right. This might seem like a busy slide, but I'll just break it down for you quickly. There is something unique to your business, and you are able to articulate that to your clients once you're comfortable enough on your pricing, your process, and your schedule. You'll find that a whole lot of other elements of who you are start coming out when you build a business that's true to you. So your own economic worldview will keep you grounded when you have conversations around money with your clients. Again, I recommend that you don't have to have those conversations, but you could use that as a flag to see who you really want to work with and who you don't. If people keep raising money, then they're probably going to give you trouble to pay later. So just keep that in mind. Your actual overall costs. Get really clear on what your real costs are. And your feasible schedule, it all comes together in terms of setting your price. And let me explain why. Your feasible schedule tells you how many hours a day you can work with and for clients. And those are the hours that they'll be paying you for. So when you're thinking of building a package for your clients, those are the hours that you're thinking about. So when you work to calculate your hourly rate, you're going to look at how much vacation you're taking, how many sick days you're likely to take. What are the holidays that you're definitely going to take that you will not be putting into client time? You're cutting out your business development time. You're cutting out time working on your business. So all that your clients are paying for are those other hours. Those hours are maybe 20% of your time, if so much. Your clients are paying you, and you want that money to cover all of your lifestyle, all of your business costs, right? Remember, you're already giving them something that is worth this, right? That's what we covered in the earlier slide. So now you get to be comfortable and clear on how much this is. How much money do you need to work for to get what you need for the year? And what does that come down to in an hourly rate? When you do that calculation, then it's easier to set packages for clients, honest packages about not just what you deliver for them in terms of earning or working less or peace of mind, but also how much it really costs for them, right? So the package number is what you share with your client. The individual, the hourly rate, you keep to yourself, is my recommendation. And so that's basically what I wanted to leave you with today. So the key takeaways, next slide, are what is your global picture of the economy today, and what is your own pricing practice going to contribute there? What are your actual lifestyle and business costs, and does your business actually cover all of it? I know we're big on a side hustle culture, but in your 40s, trust me, you don't want to be doing a side hustle if you don't have to. You want it to pay for everything, so you're not still answering to a boss somewhere, or whatever your drivers are for having your own business. Your time costs. Does your pricing actually give you your time back, or are you still on a hamster wheel? Right? Your value-based pricing, is it worth this to your clients? Whatever you're going to be charging them. Just really think through how it's going to translate to them. Can they generate that revenue back in a month if they take your advice? That kind of thing. Really think it through, right? And then your own worth. What is that dollar value? What is it that you want to really charge? And I think once you're comfortable with the costs and what you really are worth, what you offer in terms of your expertise and your unique approach to things, it makes it easier to go out there then and have the conversation about what you do and why. Right? So I hope this has really helped you today. Oh, thank you. That's really good to hear. Petagay, yes. And so before I go, I just wanted to leave you with, so my sessions are usually $500 for 15 minutes, but for June, I'm offering two sessions, two 35-minute sessions for $500 just this June. So if people wanted to register now, they have until May 31st to sign up. My website is there, so you could go sign up there if you'd like. And I usually have a 3-month commitment. There's no commitment with this session. And if you want to stay in touch, because I'm trying to do this more inspiring rather than advising, I'm really getting into a space of inviting people into being. So yeah, feel free to reach out.
Well, what I will do, everyone, I will send the information on this slide to everyone who registered, okay, along with, you know, the links so that you can reach out to Crystal Marie. I will also send her email address and her website, just so you can. And I think it will be worth it to sign up for those sessions, because if you feel like you got a lot of content now, imagine what you're going to get then and how it's going to affect your business.
Thank you, Rania.
Like, I'm inspired.
Okay, that's good.
I mean, I'm going to stop the share. Everyone, you can ask questions, because I'm going to start like spewing comments and questions myself.
Okay, yes.
This can come at a more perfect time, because with all this recreation that we've done the past 2 weeks,
yeah,
and also working on my speaking content, I'm working on our consulting packages, and I am really looking at everything that you just said, and there are a lot of things in there that I did not consider.
Oh, thank you.
So yes, I'm going to be re-watching this so that I can find out some stuff. There was a part where you said to try to create more packages rather than hourly rate. But what if your time is very limited?
Yeah.
Then how do you get around that?
So basically, I have a $500 a month package, and that is 50 hours, 50 minutes of telephone time with me for the month. But what you also get is like a few follow-up emails alongside that. And that is the package, right? So it's $500 a month rather than paying me for more sessions all the time. But I only have that 50 minutes available for that time. Okay. So even if you have limited time, it would just mean that your packages would be higher.
Because the time is that valuable that if you can only take maybe 2 clients, and they have to just understand that.
Exactly. And
good.
Pata Gay had a good question there. How do you price that way when your competitors are cheaper? In most of our industries, our competitors are going to be cheaper, because a lot of people like to go for the low-hanging fruit. But those are also the people who are tired and burnt out and anxious and always looking at the competition, and they don't have energy to figure out who they are.
And so you don't know who's getting what. You might not be getting the same value from your competition. You don't know what you're getting.
That's very true. Right? And so position yourself as premium.
Yeah.
You know, and if you believe that you're worth that, you're only going to speak to the clients that will come to you for that. You're most welcome. And I think most people are worth it. They just haven't been told that.
Yeah. It's like, this is a weird example, but I just thought of it.
Yes, Petra, yeah.
And I'm not apologizing for where I am, guys.
Good.
It's like, you need a pregnancy test where you're going to go buy it at the dollar store versus going. I mean,
exactly.
One.
Yes. And I always tell people, if you're $1 short, 1 cent short for bread in the grocery store, you are not getting that bread. They will not sell it to you for a cent less.
Treat yourself like a corporation. I'm saying that out loud so I can say it to myself too.
Yes.
Treat yourself like a corporation.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think we should all like make note of that on a Post-it note and put it on our mirror.
Yes. I also tell people, you treat your $5 slippers very differently than you treat your $500 Jimmy Choo shoes. You will never throw those shoes in a corner.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't own Jimmy Choos.
Neither do I. But you know.
I mean, the price of what, I do understand. It's like you have your like winter beater car and you just crap, and then when you get a new car, it's like, let me clean it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Pricing. I'm trying to think of. I jotted down some notes.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was also the section, you did hourly versus packages, where you say don't make your hourly rate public.
Yeah.
Right? So like on websites, just present the packages.
Yeah.
Okay.
I only say that because when you're still building your resilience around this conversation with pricing, you don't want anything else that can knock the wind out of your sail. Okay. If they have your hourly rate, they're going to say, well, that's too much and I don't want to pay. But if they see the package, they don't think about it that way. They see the value they're getting for that money, and that's it. For example, the reason do you recommend offering? Okay, so the question from Patrick is, do you recommend offering 15 to 30-minute free consultations? I'm on the fence with that. I still offer 20 minutes because I want to know who I'm working with and I need to know if we're a good fit. And people get very resentful if they spend money and there was not a good fit. So I still do the 20 minutes, but I don't do it for everyone because you can tell, you can see the flags sometimes in the conversations before you get to the consultation. So just learn to trust your intuition around who to give those consultations to and who not to.
Yeah, but I plan on doing a 15-minute call, because yes, you do have to get to know.
Yes, exactly.
They might really want to work with you, but you might not feel like you can offer value to them.
Exactly. And it's just being okay with that. And setting higher prices actually makes you more comfortable with that because you know that the next client will still pay you enough to cover your costs. You're not scrambling and trying to take every single client you can get. Oh, you're welcome, Petra. Okay.
And also stick to your times. I mean, I have had windows where people will talk for an hour and I am really nice, but there are moments where I deliberately schedule back-to-back calls because it forces me to get off the current call.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. That's good. And I mean, you know yourself well enough to know that's what you have to do. And I think that's where I say feasible schedules. You have to build a schedule that really works for you. Oh, you have paid for initial consultation. A percentage of the actual fee or? Yeah, so that was Patrick.
Yeah. Okay, for her business, paid initial. That's good. If it works, I mean, continue doing it because it is time and you should be paid for it.
Yeah, it is your time. But I wanted to say quickly that the 50 minutes that I offer per month is because everybody wants to get more money, more time for that money, but nobody could do the homework that I give in under a month. You want, no, I want 2 sessions. Okay, so are you going to be ready in 2 weeks to deliver on this? No. So then what are we going to do in the next session? You're going to spend that money and get annoyed because you didn't get the value from it. I like to give people time and space to really let things sink in. And it's okay to do that, I think.
Good. Yeah. I like this.
We have other questions.
This has been very insightful.
Thank you.
Because, I mean, 5 minutes before, was it 5 minutes before? Maybe, before we started. Where is it? No, at 7:54, I got a WhatsApp message from my VA asking about, when's our next meeting and what's next on our agenda, because she did help with the inside conversations and a list of things that I know I'm going to need to get done.
Okay,
and she's like, are we going to talk about packages next meeting? I'm like, maybe we will.
Good time. See, I love serendipity. I love when things line up. It's so good.
Perfect. I think it was meant to be. So packages next week.
Thank you. Oh, that's good. I just have one more thing to say because somebody asked about automation. Anything to save time in your business. Anything you can automate is automation. It costs money, but it saves more sometimes.
But you'll have that cost calculated in your...
Exactly. Always.
So what I'm going to do, as promised, I'm going to upload this to our YouTube channel.
Okay.
I will send everyone before the night is out. You will get the link for the rewatch, and you will get the information that was on the last slide
Okay.
as to how to contact Crystal Marie.
Okay.
And you will make sure that you are pricing for your lifestyle. And I'm just saying, if anyone's lifestyle is to be yachting in the Caribbean somewhere, I would like an invitation.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm sure Crystal Marie would love an invitation because, I mean, just saying.
I think so.
We like that lifestyle too.
Exactly. Yes.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Crystal Marie, for
Oh,
understanding all my woes as well with our technical difficulties.
oh my gosh, it happened to me, so I know.
I
Yes.
really appreciate your patience with me.
Oh my gosh, no, thank you. And thank you for being so wonderful, just gracious as well.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm so happy we
We're gonna
did
have to
this.
meet up because I feel like your intro actually, I'm like, she is speaking to me, because there are times
Oh,
I sit down and I'm doing things on the computer and I will not eat and I will not pee and I will not drink water.
me too.
So
Yes.
I'm going to be a better person because
Oh, thank you.
my husband will appreciate it.
I know. My partner does. I totally know.
There we go. We all learned some valuable lessons tonight. Well, everyone, I am going to actually, maybe find a snack because juicing's not cutting it for the whole
I
day.
know. It's hard.
It's okay. I'm still smiling. My lab tech says, she's like, you haven't drank coffee in how long? And you're not eating carbs or sugar and you're juicing? How are you? What kind of witchcraft is this? That's what she says to me every day.
Magic.
Because I'm still happy.
That's good. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'll go in there angry. She won't buy it. But enough of me, everyone. Have a great night. Crystal Marie, thank you so much again for everything. This was fantastic. Yulia, have a great night. Peter Gay, everyone in here. Judy Lee, Kamisha, Conrad, Peter Gay, Sylvie, Whitney. Yes. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.